As we've been going through this chapter 6 of John's Gospel, this week the bread of life discourse from Jesus, it is important to recognize even our passage here, as beautiful as it is, needs to be taken in context with what comes before and after it, to see it as that whole. And here we get that first line is kind of a repeat of the last line of yesterday's gospel. And then Jesus has that next line. He says, "But I told you that although you have seen me, you do not believe," is in reference to, again, what the people said in yesterday's gospel. And just before this is they ask him to give them that bread of life, that they might eat and not be hungry, or drink and not be thirsty. And he is saying, you have seen me, but you do not believe. Because he says, I am the bread of life. And yet you do not believe me. And I have come to give my life, to give my life for you, that you might partake of this life, that you might eat and drink and have eternal life within you. But you do not believe. You do not recognize me as the Messiah, as the Christ. You do not believe or even understand yet what that mission is, or what the cross will mean. And this is a rather important piece in the middle of this entire passage, that you have seen me, but you do not believe. And even as they do physically see Jesus, and even as they do maybe call him rabbi, and even as they do, many of them follow him and partake in even some of those miracles that he does, the feeding of the 5,000 or healing of different individuals, and they see these things, they still do not believe. And so Jesus then continues on, everything that the Father gives me will come to me, and I will not reject anyone who comes to me, because I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of the one who sent me. And this passage here, I think, then expresses a little bit more of what it means to believe Jesus, what it means to recognize him and see him, not just with physical eyes, but with the eyes of the heart, with the eyes of faith. That he is saying, one, the Father first must be present, that first must provide some of that faith for that faith to then be responded to, and to recognize Jesus and to confess that belief in him. But also that acknowledgement that even as Jesus says, he comes to do the will of the Father, of the one who sent him. Such is the case for those who are to believe in him. That if we truly see Jesus and believe in him and who he is and what his mission is, then our mission and our life must be similar. That we can no longer live for ourselves. We can no longer live in that worldly sense, in that sense of sin. There must be that true conforming of our will to his and to the Father, that we might not be selfish, but we might be self-giving, we might be self-surrendering, and in doing so, truly be lifted up. And this is one of those things that we are to continue to recognize in this life of faith, in this life of the church, to say, are we true disciples of Jesus? Do we truly see and recognize him as that bread of life that is worthy of laying down our life to receive, so that we are no longer focused on ourselves or simply being participants or witnesses from afar of the miracles that Jesus does, but that we might see and believe, that we might receive and have that grace, that eternal life, and be, as Jesus says, raised up in him on the last day.